Okay. Yay! Okay, it's recording, just to let everybody know the webinar is being recorded right now. Okay. Okay, Jason, are we ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's start. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna introduce everything. We'll have a few less people, but I like it that way because what we're discussing today is very technical. So we'll be able to ask a lot of questions between us. Okay, so today, welcome back to the official Tape Partners webinar. I'm Luis. I'm with Jason here. That's gonna be like, yeah, look at me. Look at that handsome person over there. So that's me and Jason, and today we're going to be talking about something that is extremely useful for tape is using JSONata in the scripts. Is absolutely fantastic. You can do so much stuff with that and cut a lot of expensive like workloads using that thing, and Jason's going to show you how to do that with a few things. And we're going to start with the tape team just telling us a little bit of some updates of what we're going to the next updates about the tape and the infrastructure, what's going on, and then Jason is going to go with doing a very intrusive tutorial of the JSONata. Then we're going to do the Q&A, and we wrap up. Perfect. Anytime you have a question, just step in. We're a small group today, so you have questions for Jason, just step in. He'll be happy to give you any answers. Okay, so let's start with the tape team. I want to know what's going on. Anything new?
Hey, yeah, today it's me first. So yeah, first of all, thank you for organizing this and for having us. We will keep it short because most of the things that we are working on, we already told you. So we are still building the fundamental and technological baseline for the new record and also the mobile and form experience. We don't have anything new to show after the tech demo that we already shared with you. But we are trying to squeeze in these little things in between such that it doesn't look like a complete hold. That's why we're squeezing in smaller things that you might have noticed. So since the last webinar, we released a new home, which is a little more streamlined and more refined and also more structured than before, where you were basically accessing the focus when coming into tape, right? And now the focus has a dedicated page. You already know. So this is something we came up with, and also big news is the partnership with Andreas. As you probably have seen, there's now a proc.fu integration so Andreas also worked on that, and we are happy to announce that people can now use tape and proc.fu together, which is also a great way to find solutions and to build things on top of tape using proc.fu. I guess it's certainly worth checking out, and you should definitely evaluate whether that can solve some problems for your clients and also for yourself, of course. Mm-hmm. And the last thing I want to share is sharing the new record sharing and permissions endpoint that we built. So the API docs also exposed that new documentation for record permission updates. So you can now set permissions via the developer API, for example, sharing a single record with a guest, or also restricting permissions on certain records, similar to the way you can inside the share menu. And another little thing we released, and I think Jason has already used that and was really celebrating it, is the new batch update and creation endpoints that allow you to create and update records in batch, which is more efficient and also faster. That's it from my side. I'll be handing over to Leo.
Mhm.
Hey guys, also greetings from my side. As Tim already told you, our main focus is still the record on the technology behind of that. But we invested in the last week also in the permissions. And what we have silently released is also the can view and can comment permission. So I think you will be one of the first guys who will see it. So you are now able to set 2 more permission levels on workspace level, on app level, and on record level. And you can restrict dedicated apps or records to can view and records also to can comment permission. And we are also worked on another permission feature, which was requested from many of our customers, which do a lot of record sharing. As you probably know, when you share single records in tape, you get the single record, the shared records in your sidebar. And this can become quite messy when you get more records shared into your sidebar. And there we developed a feature that you can switch that people who get single record shares can see the record in an app. So I would like to show you how that works just for a minute, because permissions are always tricky to, 1 second.
Let me see. I think you should have, let's see.
I've just done it, so.
There we go.
Infinite. Okay. So you can see the screen. And this is a demo setup where I have here several apps and 2 users logged in to demonstrate the permissions. This is the admin user. This is a not so powerful user. And here in the development space, I have some issues shared with this user, 5 of them. And the first one was full access. You can see that here. This guy have shared, like myself, with full access. And another record is shared with can comment. And we have also one shared with can view access. And when I change to this user, I have this 5 records here in the sidebar, as I told you. And when I go to the 71 record, I have here the permission set. Here's full access. One moment. I think I take this one. And here we have like can view access. So here we don't can add comments. He can change anything. He can check. He can hide and show stuff, but he can't change anything in the record. And what is now the feature we had many requests is when you go back to the admin user, you can go to his app, the development app, the issues app in this case. And then we have here in the share menu this little switcher here. This says you need, when you have this switcher status on, you need to invite the people dedicated to the app. But you can change to this option here that anyone a record is shared with can access the app. And when I change this, it's instantly applied. So go back to this user. And now he have the app here shown with read-only access. And now we have his 5 records. He can create private views. He can't create records, but he can sort of filter and everything with his 5 records. And as you can see, when you make a multi-select, you only can select the records which you have added access to. So it was a lot of work to enforce all the permissions on all the entry points we have here. But I think this is quite useful for many use cases when you work together with other people. And so that's it from the demo from my side. And what we are working on in the next weeks, besides of the record, we are working on some security features, like, for example, two-factor authentication, and to give tape extra of security.
Mhm.
So that's from our side.
Cool.
That's perfect. Yep. Okay, perfect. So Jason, it's up to you. This.
Right. Okay. Let's give this a go. So if I'm going too fast or I'm going too slow, then please let me know. And if you've got any questions, then also do jump in, because as I said, it's a smallish group, so we can have more of a conversation about it. What I'm going to try and do is cover basically handling webhooks and a introduction to JSONata or ATA, or however you're supposed to say it. Had many a conversation in the last week over that one. Anyway, first of all, do webhooks. A webhook is basically like a push notification for apps, so you can send from one system to another a notification. But where it's really clever is that you can include a payload of data as well. So when you want to receive a webhook data in tape, then you use the trigger webhook is received, and it will look like that. This is an example of a webhook payload. It's a real one. It's an email coming into tape. So you can see it's sort of a bit complicated. And pull all the information out and put it into tape can get a bit fiddly. But that's where this JSONata tool comes in. And it basically makes handling and manipulating JSON data quick, efficient, and readable, unlike that description. So why do we want to use it? Both of those examples on the screen will work, but the second one will error if that dot name is not there. It's also better at handling things with capitals and bits and pieces like that. Is everybody okay so far? Okay. This is another real payload. It's a email click notification. Now, in this instance, I wanted to get the tag out, which is all the way down the bottom, down here somewhere. I don't know whether you can see it. The tag may or may not be there. In this instance, it is. But by using a little bit of code like that, then it doesn't matter if the tag isn't there. It won't like error. It will just work when it works. What that code actually does is it finds the tag in the email, in the payload, and then it adds a comment to the relevant tape record, because the tag is actually the record ID. So what else can it do, and why is it so useful in tape? You can use it to perform actions within the create or the update blocks. So if you've got, for example, here a list of prices and you wanted to put the total into a total field, then you could just do that. And that will add it all up and put the total cost in. So you don't need another like calculation block or script block. I'll run through some examples to start at the very simple and try and build up to something a bit more complex. To extract that that form ID, you basically just put form ID in the brackets in tape, and it will give you the number. If we want to go to submission time, then we're one down. So we do submission.submission time. But we can also do *submission time for one level, or *submission time for as many levels as you want, and it will just go through and find the submission time. So both of those will give that result. And that's all very well and good, but in real life, we want this name field. So how do we get the name field? We basically are going to use the ID, which is unique to that field. We're going to search through the questions and then in square brackets ID, put the ID in that you want to match, and then get the value. If you replaced value in that to type, you'd get short answer. So that's a real form coming in, and you can see how easy it is to actually extract the data from something that looks quite complicated. How we can use it even more. So again, in tape, you may not want to put in extra scripts or extra calculation blocks. So in the create record, we want, in the record, we've got a first name and a surname. So we can split that name field and put it just the first name in, all in one line. This is a more complex payload, which I've made up in this instance, and I've sort of blown it up a little bit bigger here to hopefully you can see it a bit more. So what happens if we basically want an array of all of the prices? So if you just do items.price, that gives you that array. Now the issue is, what happens if you've only got one? Because you may have one, or you may have 10 or 3 or whatever. If you do one, you don't get an array. And this is very important because your code further on might be expecting an array. And in fact, for those of you that got the email template from last webinar, in there, there's a chunk of code where I check to see whether it's an array or not, to try and fix it. However, if you do items.price square brackets afterwards, that will always generate an array for you, even if there's only one item. You can also count items, which is again very handy. So you can see there it's counting how many prices there are, which gives you the 3. Again, this is handy because if you do a dot length, then that will throw an error if there's no length. Whereas if you do count, it won't throw an error. You can sum, again, we've covered that. And there's another example of it. So what happens if you want to do something a little bit more complex? If you've got a really big JSON, then basically you don't want all of the garbage that, for example, in this case, Google sends you when you ask it for a location. All you probably want is the name and the coordinates. Well, that's how you can do it. So basically, we again go back to our example here. Everything's under items, so you go items, and then we want to basically make a new array of the different objects, and you can see how it's done there. This is a real example of another use case for it. This is some code that I had. I basically had quite a big array, and I only wanted the first 5 items from it. But I didn't want them all to be the same from basically it was a collection of collections from tape. So I just wanted to strip out the first 5, but I wanted them random. So I wrote some code to shuffle it. But again, what I could have done is that. And basically you can just shuffle them and put them in different order. Now, what I would do now is show you something else. If I can remember how I'm going to do it without showing you a whole load of stuff.
Jason, mind if I interrupt you for a few seconds? I got a question.
Yeah, please do.
So can you go to you said the collection, those 3 dots before collections to merge. What does that do? the three dots. That thing. What does that do? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question, which Tim might be able to answer better than me. I'm trying to rack my brains now as to why you need it in this instance. It's something to do with yeah, I don't know. Why do you need it, Tim?
Can you show me again the
It says collection dot collection dot
this is
what's that for?
okay. Okay, this is the spread operator in JavaScript or TypeScript. So what it basically does is it retrieves the items from the array and shoves them into the function after each other, right? Because push does not expect an array; it expects arguments, objects or items. So that's why you need to do it like this.
Thank you.
Oh, God, thank you.
I wrote that a bit of a time ago. I couldn't remember. Right. Okay. So I want to show you something that I think is very impressive. This goes back to what Tim was saying that Tape have made available in this batch create. So if I show you this, if we imagine we've got a massive collection of data, can you hang on a sec? Hopefully you can see it a bit better now. So we've got a huge array of things here, people's details. They're not real, so don't worry. There's over 200 of them. So if you can imagine you've got this massive export from somebody who's given you this stuff to put in. You don't want all of this. You don't want their password. All you want is, in this instance, is their first name, their last name, their email, and for some bizarre reason, their gender. So I'm going to kick this off. You can see we've got some in here already. So this is where it all goes wrong, because technical demos always go wrong, don't they? And then I'll talk through a bit of what we're doing. So the first thing we've done is we've got a collection of the records that already exist. And we're stripping out the email fields from that collection. And then we're going to convert those emails into a string rather than an array, and then use JSONata to compare the email addresses with whatever was in our payload. If it finds the email addresses in the payload, it will remove those objects from the payload. And then it's going to create a new object with just the data that we want here. And it's going to create it in the format that we need to push into Tape to create the records. And then it will loop through until it's run out of the items in the original array. And it's doing 49 at a time, and it's finished while I've been talking. So while I've been talking, we've basically checked to see if they already exist, stripped out the data that we need, and then created over 200 records in Tape. So I think that's pretty impressive. And then if we put that into a bit more of a real life scenario, let's say you want to email those people. So what we can do is we can search for 50, because that's what the batch will do. Build our email body, and then basically send the email and update all of these records that we send to say that we've already sent it. So as I say, I think that's a fairly impressive thing. It means you haven't got to build loops or anything like that. You can just do it all in one go. And what that means is you can handle a huge amount more record changes than you would be able to if you didn't do it in this way. And just to give you one last real life example, most of you, if not all of you, got an email reminding you about this webinar earlier. All of these came from this automation. That's the whole automation. And basically, it built the email. You can see here, putting in variables from the various places. Obviously, it looks really long and complicated because it's all in HTML. But you can see here, this is pulling a field value, the name, and combining it with the HTML. And then here it's grabbing the record ID and putting it into the reply to address. So it's building your entire object that you can then send to Postmark for their batch here. And then what it does is it updates, it creates a new JSON object and then updates all of the tape records all in one go through this new tape batch update. Yeah, has anybody got any questions? Because seem to have shot through that.
Yeah.
Don't make us lower the batch limits. Right, okay. I want you to make them bigger.
50 was a start. Yeah, it's a start. So we need to see how you behave. Then we can see whether we crank it up or down.
Yeah, I might have broken it this week. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think that what I would say is that JSONata or ATA, however it's said, is so powerful. I would recommend everybody goes to their website and reads or skims through the docs, because there is so much in there that you can do. And this really is just scratching the surface. Tim might have looked at some of the more complex stuff and said, oh, well, I would have done that with maps and things like that. And you can just do huge amounts with it in very few lines of code. And then, yeah, combining it with the batch updates is, yeah, just removes the need for loops and things like that. Yeah. Is there anything that to do with webhooks or payloads that I haven't covered that anybody wanted to know about?
I have one question, Jason, because in the tape community we had this issue with the, I think it was dashes in the name of the keys. Remember that? I have to be very honest, that was quite confusing to me. So also when I think originally John reported that to me directly via message, and then I also had to reproduce the issue, and I was a little disappointed there of the way it's working. I mean, once you know it, it's obvious, but it also got me confused for quite a few minutes. So what do you think about that, Jason?
Well, I think it's weird. I don't understand why it won't. I came across it about 6 or 7 months ago, which is why I knew the answer, if you see what I mean. Yeah, I don't understand why it won't do it, but it doesn't. Yeah, and if once you know the answer, if you kind of do a search for it, then it comes up. But it is a bizarre one, and it's dashes, isn't it? So if you have a field name with a dash in, then it just ignores it completely. And it's not tape. You can do it in the other resource that I would really strongly recommend is the JSONata. What's it called? I can't even remember. It's gone from me. But I've shared the link on the forums before. It's where you can put in, you can test out your your evaluation strings. And that's the other thing is that you can do more than just the evaluation strings. There's a whole load of other bits to it which I haven't even touched on. So but yeah, that if you put something with a dash in the field name into its tool, it just ignores it. You just come out with blank. So yeah, but I don't know that comes up all that often. The only people I know that actually send it is that Tiny Cal. Send it like that. So yeah, who knows why? Thank you, John. Oh, and Tim. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yes, the try JSONata thing. It's really good. It's really, really helpful. Most of the screenshots in that presentation were taken from that. So that's the other thing, that this is in the Potato Partners area, and in this one, the demo one, in here, there's just one automation, and it basically goes through every bit that I talked about in the presentation. So it's how you can build it. It's got the form payload there, and then yeah, you can just go through all the different bits. So you've got it all there to sort of crib off or whatever. Okay. Right. Well, I haven't got anything else to say. So has anybody got any other questions? Or it doesn't have to be about web payloads. It's like can. Oh, silence. Okay, well, hopefully it was of some use to people, and if nothing else, would encourage you to go and look at what you can do. Since I started researching it a little bit more, it's changed a lot of how I do things. So, and I know that Lewis has changed some stuff that he was working on, and has saved a huge amount of loops and complications by doing that. So yeah.
Great to see the batch endpoint in action. I think we built it back in the days for the import, right, Tim? Was the first.
Yeah, actually, it was. Remember, if I remember correctly, it was for some migration tools that or migrate data from other systems into tape. And obviously, the batch endpoint will be way more efficient. And we started off rolling out the migration with the regular record creation and update endpoints, but it turned out to be an issue if you have a client that wants to migrate over more than, I don't know, 100 or 1,000 records. And we did have some clients migrating data with a lot of records, and we just ran into issues. So it was a pragmatic decision to roll out these batch endpoints. And I mean, they're so generic that now they can be used for any use case, and they're more efficient. So I'm really happy to see, like Leo said, to see it in action. Great work, Jason.
Yeah, it was literally the day before you announced it on the forums. I'd imported 1,000 records without it. And slowing it down so the point that it actually will go in was a nightmare. It took me, I don't know how many times it took me to try and slow down my code that I'd written on my laptop to slow it down enough to generate a record at a time without hitting the limits. Yeah, so it's totally a really useful thing, I think, to be able to do it in batches. Yeah. So yeah, it's really good.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Amazing.
So cool. All right. Well, yeah, as I say, I'm basically done. So I don't know. We got a few extras came in late, didn't they? Has anybody did anybody feel they missed anything? Here we have John Kit.
Me, yeah, you can just start all. You can just start all over again.
Start all over again. I'm quite nervous. I've been really tired the last couple of days.
No, did anything? Obviously, lots of ground was covered before I got in. Outside of the JSON ATA, before we started through this like demo process, were there any updates from the team for tape, like previously or historically? Anything new happen? Revolutionary?
Yeah, there was a really, the permissions thing is like awesome. That looks amazing. The possibilities with that are just
A lot more granular.
Yeah, looked like it. I'm going to try. Maybe I should let Leo explain. Explain so well that stuff. But yeah, if you've been able to give people permissions to share specific records, but the bit that was really nice was that if you change one thing, then rather than getting a list of shared records, they get the app available to them showing only the records that are available to them. But also, even better, they get that you can take it down so that they can have varying levels of permissions on those shared records, including being able to comment or not, or change the edit or not.
Would that be down to like fields, like field permissions?
I don't think it was field permissions, was it, Leo? It was just record permissions at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not yet, John, but we released the can comment and can view permission on workspace, app, and record level.
Okay.
And as Jason already explained, we have some customers who share a lot of single records to employees. And as you know, they are in the sidebar in a place where you can sort, you can filter. And now you have the option. We will release that maybe in a week or in 2 weeks. You have a switcher in the share menu of every database app, and you can decide if people who have single record shared can access the records via the app. So you can share to someone 3 records, and then you can enable this option on app level in the share menu of an app. And then all people who have single record shared get automatically in the sidebar the app shown and not the different records. And then they can use the private views and filters and stuff like that. Some of our customers use it for some maybe for their wages reports. They get only shared their own reports, and then they have an overview of all the shared stuff on app level.
Yeah, I can see a lot of, just off the top of my head, I can think of lots of use cases for that, like HR instances, sharing data for employees, like updating, say, emergency contacts, or, you know, like me being over here at a marketing firm, use case for us would be like sharing proofs. Instead of having to have isolated containers per client, having the ability to have like one where I'm just sharing specific records. So I think that'll help out a lot with the UI and the UX. So that's a pretty cool idea to explore.
Yeah.
I would expect nothing less at this point.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Good. So moving forward, I think that Lewis will do the next one, I think.
If anybody wants to be the host of this, you have something that you want to share that we can learn with each other, I will be happy to. You can take charge of it. Yeah, we got many ideas, of course, but we'll be happy for you to take over. Yep. And also, if you want to test something, just join the Tape Partners workspace. As Jason broke it the other day, so that's really so. It's over there. You can chat with any one of us in there.
You know, as a quick aside, I owe the gents over at Tape some stickers for the partners that I haven't been able to get out. And do we have like a rough head count on your active partners right now?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh,
That is
And
one
not to
for
put-
Stefan,
not to put you on
I
the spot.
think. Do we have like a head count of the number of active Tape partners, roughly?
It's about 40.
Oh wow!
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, would any of you want any like some slap stickers to throw on the back of a laptop or the equivalent to help further promote yourself or the platform? Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll do a short run of that. I'll get with you, Tim. We'll kind of hammer that out, and then we'll figure out the best way to get them over to everybody.
great idea, John.
I think that's like a last December thing that was supposed to happen. So
Nice.
Sounds great. Cool. Well, if
Thanks.
nobody got anything else, then I think we can call it.
We
Call
can
it a
wrap
night.
this up. Yep. An afternoon for me.
Yeah, afternoon for you and night for the rest of us, I think. So yeah, great to see everybody. Thank you for your time.
Thanks. It was great to see you guys.
Hey,
Thank you. Look at that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you guys. I had my little one running around, so I was more on the receptive side today. But really good to see you, and thanks for a very interesting session.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good to
Take
see
care.
you.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thank you,
Take care.
Jason. Thank
thanks,
you.
Jason.
Jason, thank you. Bye bye.
Great job.
See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.